My song's a minute 30.
Yeah, you in and
minute
out.
20. A don't want to do nothing but hit that shit one time, run it back if it was that gas. Another minute 20. Okay, next song. They're like, these songs coming out, these shorter and shorter and shorter. Like the hits coming out, these short. And then the hits that's coming out that's long, they getting turned off halfway in the song. They listening, they going hook, verse, back to the hook one more time. I don't hear this shit more. I don't want to hear the second verse and then hear the hook again. Nah, they cut it off.
Now, the clip I just played was of rapper BossMan Dlow explaining why he chooses to release short rap songs. It's a topic I think deserves more attention because it reflects a larger shift happening in the rap industry. His reasoning isn't just about personal preference, it's a response to how the music industry operates today, and it ties directly to what many believe is contributing to the decline of rap as an art form. Shorter rap songs have become increasingly popular, driven by factors like streaming algorithms, social media trends, and the ever-shortening attention spans of listeners. But BossMan Dlow's perspective adds another layer to this conversation, one that highlights both the practicality and the pitfalls of this approach. In this video, I want to dive deeper into why artists like BossMan Dlow feel compelled to adapt their music in this way. Is it about survival in an industry that values numbers over substance, or is it a creative choice rooted in something more intentional? Let's talk about what he said. A lot of people might already recognize the name BossMan Dlow. Came a long way from lunch trays and eat rice. He's a 26-year-old rising star in hip-hop, a Florida rapper who's been making serious waves this year. As a fresh face in the game, he's quickly carving out a unique lane for himself, standing out with his distinct style and approach to music. I actually think BossMan Dlow is one of the more memorable new rappers out right now. He's a street rapper, which is a style a lot of people are gravitating towards these days. What sets him apart for me though is his focus on money and success, rather than just rapping about violence. Kind of like the late Young Dolph, rest in peace. If I'm gonna listen to a street rapper, I tend to gravitate towards those who bring that hustler mentality into their music. After all, who doesn't like hearing about getting to the bag? I recently came across an interview BossMan Dlow did with hip-hop podcasters Gilly and Wallow, where he explained why he chooses to drop short rap songs. This clip from the interview was originally posted by No Labels Necessary on Instagram and has been reposted all over the platforms, sparking a lot of conversation. I want to touch on this topic because it's highly relevant to the ongoing conversation about why so many people are saying that rap is dying. Short rap songs and short songs in general have become the wave in the music industry. This trend is largely driven by streaming platforms, where shorter tracks mean higher replay value and more streams, ultimately boosting an artist's numbers. It's a strategic move that aligns with fast-paced consumption habits of today's listeners, who often prefer quick, digestible content over longer, more intricate tracks. Specifically in hip-hop, this trend gained significant traction during the SoundCloud era. You might remember how rappers like XXXTentacion, Lil Pump, and others from that time began dropping extremely short songs that quickly skyrocketed in popularity. Tracks like XXXTentacion's Look At Me and Lil Pump's Gucci Gang were not only catchy but also concise, clocking in at under 3 minutes. The reason? Replay value. These short tracks encourage listeners to hit that replay button over and over again, ultimately boosting their streaming numbers and helping them climb the charts faster. Platforms like SoundCloud rewarded this kind of engagement. These songs were perfectly tailored for the platform and the era. They fit into the fast-paced consumption habits of listeners and thrived on repeat plays, a key factor in driving their virality. Their brevity made them ideal for SoundCloud's younger audience, who were drawn to high-energy, easily consumable tracks that didn't demand a lengthy attention span. Algorithms have changed the way music is consumed and created. Streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, and platforms like TikTok, reward songs that capture attention quickly and keep listeners engaged. Shorter songs naturally fit this mold. They grab the listener's attention within seconds and often end before the listener even considers skipping. This shift has reshaped the creative process for many artists, especially in hip-hop. Instead of focusing on storytelling or complex structures, the emphasis now is on creating tracks that are immediate, catchy, and easily repeatable. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's simply a reflection on how the music landscape has evolved. However, it does raise questions about whether these algorithms are stifling creativity by pushing artists to cater to what works best for the platform rather than what feels most authentic. For rappers like BossMan Dlow, embracing shorter rap songs isn't just a trend, it's a strategic move to stay relevant and thrive in an industry driven by streaming numbers. But as this approach becomes more widespread, it makes us wonder, is this reliance on algorithms dictating the future of music? And if so, what does this mean for the soul and substance of hip-hop as a genre? Back in 2020, something major happened in the music industry that shifted the way artists approached their craft. Streaming services like Spotify and platforms like TikTok started playing an even bigger role in shaping what songs became hits. The trend of shorter songs, which had been bubbling under the surface for years, fully exploded. Suddenly, the average song length was shrinking, with more tracks barely hitting the 2-minute mark. Why? Because shorter songs mean higher replay value, which translates to more streams and ultimately more revenue for artists and record labels. This strategy became especially popular in hip-hop, like we stated, through artists like XXXTentacion and Lil Pump, coming out of the SoundCloud era, which had already laid the blueprint for this formula. Their success proved that shorter, high-energy tracks could dominate the charts, and the industry hasn't looked back since. I want to share a short little story that ties directly into this conversation. A couple months ago, I was chopping it up with a very successful underground artist who's been killing it in the streaming game. I was looking for some perspective on music I was working on myself, so I sent him one of my songs to get his opinion. The track had this long intro, beautiful piano, a smooth bass line, and a nice build-up leading up to the hook. Now, the actual song didn't start until the 30-second mark. Personally, I liked it, but of course I want to get a second opinion, and the first thing he told me was, bro, you gotta cut out that intro. He explained that having a 30-second build-up means you're losing potential listeners within the first 10 seconds. Now, this is someone who's made millions of dollars just from streaming, so I knew that they weren't speaking out of nowhere. Still, I pushed back a little to play devil's advocate, asking why it was necessary to sacrifice such a creative moment in the song. Their response was simple but clear: you just have to adapt. That conversation stuck with me because it reflects how the game works now. It's no longer about artistry. It's about understanding the platforms and playing to their strengths. And for better or worse, this is the reality of the modern music industry. A lot of artists, especially rappers, get very discouraged because they don't want to feel like they're sacrificing their artistry just to appeal to the algorithms or latest trends. For many, making music is a form of self-expression, and having to cut intros, shorten verses, or simplify their sound to fit the current streaming mode can feel like a compromise. And I would say overall it depends on what kind of music that you actually make. As an example, if you're someone like Beat King, who actually passed away a few months ago, rest in peace to Justin Riley, I really miss that guy. But if you're someone like him, who he made strip club anthems, so his songs are short because if the DJ is running through all these songs in the strip club, he kind of wants to feed people quick hits that they can just listen to and then move on to the next track, right? Overall though, the reality is in today's industry, success often hinges on how well you adapt to these changes. It's not just about creating a great song. It's about creating a song that works within the frameworks of platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and TikTok. These platforms reward engagement, replay value, and virality, and shorter songs naturally fit the formula. For some, this adaptation can feel like selling out, but for others, it's viewed as a necessary evolution to stay relevant and thrive in a rapidly changing industry. The question then becomes, how do you balance staying true to your artistry while navigating the constraints of modern music consumption? It's a challenge that every artist, including those like BossMan Dlow, has to face. Unfortunately, the common listeners is the ultimate gatekeeper to finding massive success in today's music industry. It's not just about crafting a song that resonates with your core fans anymore. It's about appealing to the masses who control streams, likes, and shares. These casual listeners often decide the fate of a song within the first 10 seconds, and if it doesn't hook them immediately, they'll skip to the next track without a second thought. And funny enough, what kind of signal does that send to the algorithm? Well, it's essentially saying this product isn't worth listening to because people are skipping it. And that's why a lot of artists are just choosing to adapt. The algorithm interprets those skips as a lack of interest, which can tank your song's performance on streaming platforms. The longer of a window you give listeners to skip your track, the more likely it is that they actually will. That's why so many artists are trimming intros, jumping straight into hooks, and keeping their songs short and punchy. It's about minimizing the risk of disengagement and maximizing the chance of capturing and holding the listener's attention. But here's the catch: while this strategy can boost numbers, it also pressures artists to prioritize what's immediately attention grabbing over what's creatively fulfilling. This dynamic has forced artists, particularly in hip-hop, to rethink their approach to music. For artists like BossMan Dlow, this means adapting to the reality of what actually works in the streaming era. Short songs with instant appeal are often more effective in reaching a broader audience. But this raises a critical question: how can artists stand out and leave a lasting impact in a world where attention spans are shrinking and music is increasingly becoming more disposable? Especially in the kind of generation we live now, often referred to as the microwave era. Everything moves at lightning speed. This is a time where a lot of the young kids grew up on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and other platforms that deliver quick dopamine hits in a matter of seconds. Patience for anything long form or drawn out has disappeared, and that mindset has carried over into how people consume music. This mindset isn't just limited to music. It's directly related to content creation as well, which is its own art form. For someone who builds their audience on TikTok or Instagram through 30-second videos, converting those consumers into loyal followers of your long-form content is an uphill battle. These platforms train audiences to expect quick, digestible content, so asking them to commit to something longer can be a tough sell. On the flip side, if you take someone like me or any other content creator who focuses on long form content, it's often easier to adapt to shorter formats when needed. That's because an audience built around longer in-depth content tends to be more engaged and invested. They're willing to stick around for the message, which creates a stronger foundation when transitioning to other platforms or formats. This difference highlights how important it is to understand your audience and the type of content they're drawn to. Whether you're an artist, a content creator, or both, finding the right balance between short form and long form content is key to building a sustainable and loyal fan base in today's fast-paced digital landscape. The reason why it's easier for me to keep people coming back to long form content is because the seed that I get to plant in your mind has a stronger, more lasting impact compared to someone who focuses on quick, surface level hits. Long form content allows me to dive deeper and create a connection that resonates beyond a fleeting moment. That said, different strokes for different folks. I'm not here to downplay anyone's approach. I'm just calling it like it is. Both methods have their strengths. But the real question is which one leaves a lasting impression and builds something sustainable over time and which one doesn't. This is very similar to why artists who go deeper tend to build more loyal fan bases. Take a look at Kendrick Lamar or even Drake. Both of these artists have carved out their own space in the game. What sets them apart is the level of depth they bring to their music, which creates a strong connection with their listeners. They don't just aim for the surface, they hit their audience where it matters the most, the mind and the heart. Whether it's Kendrick's thought-provoking storytelling or Drake's emotional relatability, both have mastered the art of leaving a lasting impact that keeps fans coming back for more. And it's this depth that turns casual listeners into lifelong supporters. Interestingly, neither Kendrick nor Drake are known for making short songs, yet they both achieved massive success, proving that you don't have to follow the algorithm to make it big. Now, it's true that they both came up in a different era of the music industry, one that wasn't as heavily influenced by streaming and algorithms. However, I still think the point stands. Whether it's emotional depth, Drake, or substance in music, Kendrick, it's possible to transcend trends. Their success shows that connecting with listeners on a deeper level, rather than simply chasing what's popular, can lead to longevity and a loyal fan base. Overall, I wouldn't say that BossMan Dlow is wrong for what he's doing at all. There's a reason he has momentum. He's clearly figured something out. One of the cornerstones of success in any field is how well you adapt, and BossMan is a great example of that. He's observing what's working in the game, mentally placing himself in it, and taking action based on what resonates. And that's the formula for success. That said, it's unfortunate that taking what I like to call the righteous path by, staying true to artistic depth and originality often makes it harder to achieve the same level of success. The reality is the game rewards what works in the moment, not necessarily what's timeless. So did BossMan Dlow expose why rap is dying? You tell me. Anyway, if you made it this far, that means that you enjoyed this video and this conversation perhaps. So how about drop a like? And if you're new here, my name is Blacky Speaks. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the family. Thank you for subscribing. Any thoughts on this topic? I feel like BossMan Dlow kind of exposed why rap is actually dying, because this conversation is definitely one of the core reasons why we always keep on coming back to this topic, right? So anyway, you know what I think, and I want to really hear what you have to say. So you let me know in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace. I'm out.